Hey guys, welcome back to the Rob Pop YouTube channel, your number one pit stop for all things Eurovision this year. And in this video, we're going to do something a little bit different. The running orders are out and I'm about to tell you who I think are the winners and the losers of the semi-final one running order draw. That's right, usually we're on our reaction, but today I'm getting a little bit analytical. It's not something I've done much on this channel, but it's very much something I like to do behind the computer screen. It is now Wednesday in the UK when I'm filming this, but yesterday, the running orders for both semi-final 1 and semi-final 2 were released by the Eurovision YouTube channel. And in this video, I'm going to dissect that running order a little bit, looking at the 5 winners that I think have come from this running order and the 5 losers. Now, I have to clarify what that means. By that, I don't mean 5 qualifiers, 5 non-qualifiers. By winners, I mean countries that I feel have benefited from a running order. That doesn't necessarily mean that they'll qualify because of it, but I feel like the running order has done them a favour. It's thrown them a lifeline. And the losers are countries that I feel have been slightly damaged by the running order. Again, this doesn't mean that they won't qualify, but maybe I've seen the running order and I thought, ooh, that doesn't do them any favours at all. That's how I mean by winners and losers, so that's how we're going to be treating this. So if you haven't seen the running order for semi-final 1, which I am going to be covering in this video, I'm going to place it on the screen now. As you can see, semi-final 1 starts off with Cyprus, followed by Serbia, Lithuania and Iceland. Then we have our first big 5 country who will be showcasing their entry, which is United Kingdom. Then semi-final 1 continues with Ukraine performing in 5th, Poland 6th, Croatia 7th and Iceland 8th. We have Germany showcasing their entry, always on the run in between there. Then we have Slovenia, Finland and Moldova. Then Sweden will perform with Marcus and Martinez's Unforgettable. And the show will be closed with Azerbaijan, Australia, Portugal and finally Luxembourg. But before we do begin, as ever, it would be amazing if you could subscribe to this channel. I've just broken through the 600 subscriber barrier, which is a massive milestone for me, but that doesn't mean I want to stop there. I want so many more of you getting involved with me on my Eurovision journey, because more than anything, it's so fun to hear what you've got to say down below. I love hearing your opinions, and it's just so much fun to share that Eurovision joy with you all. So if you want a fun camp old gay old time where we can discuss all things Eurovision with a smile on our face, I'm your man. Hit subscribe and we can have fun all the way through to Malmö in May. But yes, let's get going with analysing semi-final 1. I've made plenty of notes, I've done so much research, I've got statistics being brought to the table. Trust me, I've got it all. I've done my research. So let's get going with the 5 songs that I think are winners from the running order for semi-final 1. The first country I'm going to focus on is Portugal. Now, if you watch my reaction video to Islander's Grito a couple of weeks ago, I did say that I thought this song has the biggest hurdle in getting to the final, and then if it makes the final, I think the jury are going to really absolutely love this. But I do think the production have now really given this song a huge lifeline to qualify. This song's performing second to last in semi-final 1. It's the very final ballad in a semi-final that doesn't have that many ballads, but it's definitely going to stand out as the very last one that you'll hear, and it's going to really bring the semi to a close with such a class and beauty. If they'd have swapped this with, say, Slovenia, for example, who are performing in 9th, I might have worried about this getting buried somewhere in the middle. I feel like the middle is often the kind of time when people maybe go to the toilet, but people are going to want to know what's going on towards the end, and I think this has a real opportunity now to capture the viewers in quite a crazy semi-final, with being ended with this kind of real raw emotion. Now, granted, the penultimate spot is not a guarantee. We saw Netherlands Burning Daylight perform second to last year. That failed to make it, didn't come even close. However, looking at statistics, in the last 5 years, the song that's performed second to last has qualified 9 out of 10 times. So Burning Daylight is the only occasion. And I do feel like we really can't compare a closer like Cha 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 to anything else, because that just wiped the whole competition clear. Luxembourg closing this semi-final is not going to be a runaway tell-about winner. It's not going to steal everyone's attention away from Islander, and that's why I think Portugal are in with a really good chance from second to last. This song also comes after Azerbaijan and Australia, 2 songs that I think kind of sit in the middle. They're not ballads, they're not up-tempos, they're just kind of there, and I don't think they conjure up a lot of emotion. But if it's the one thing that I can say about this song, is that it really does make you feel emotion. So if you're wanting something to really get you in the feels, this song really does stand out in everything that surrounds it, and there is nothing competing with it. The only song that is competing with it is Serbia, and they could not be further away from Serbia in the running order if they tried. Serbia have drawn second, which is notoriously not a great spot. So Portugal, of all of the ballads, have really been given the best possible spot. And I do think, from a personal opinion, this is the best ballad in this semi-final anyway, so I think they've really been given a chance to shine. The next song that I think is a winner from the running order is Luxembourg. I just mentioned them there. Tally's Fighter will be closing the first semi-final, and I think this is the absolute perfect draw for Luxembourg, and I struggle to see how they don't make it now. I thought before this was kind of borderline. I was like, will this make it, will this not? But I think now, it's close to certain in my brain. This song is the first proper up-tempo since Sweden, which isn't actually a competitive entry. You can't vote for Sweden. And from a competitive front, it's the first up-tempo entry since Finland, which is 5 songs ago at that point. It's been a long while since the viewers have heard a proper up-tempo at this point, and I think that the viewers will be craving it by the time they get to the last song. And there's Tally to hit a home run, close off the semi-final with Fighter. So as long as she can perform this well, I think this is really closing the show with a bang, and it's going to be remembered for sure. Of course, it's still not a guarantee that just because you performed last, you're going to make it. Not every song has achieved that in Eurovision history. Look at Triana Park, they failed to make it. But I'd argue that the 3 songs preceding it don't really provide the most energy, so the viewers will be crawling to the finish line, craving a bit of energy. Statistically, the song performing last in the semi-finals has qualified 9 out of 10 times in the last 5 years. The only time that hasn't happened is with Theodor Flormer, who was pioneering for Denmark back in 2021. However, if it was a televote only final, then Denmark would have qualified easily in that year. They actually finished 7th place in that final. So in the last 5 years, the song that has performed last in the semi-final, 100% of the time would have made it with the televote. Those statistics don't lie, and this song is not a dud. And in terms of being a winner of these running order creations, I think Luxembourg really have to be up there. They've got to be one of the biggest winners from this whole running order, because now they're in a position where you just can't forget about them. And anyone who is in their lane, for example, Cyprus with Lyre, they're now at the opposite end of the scale. They're opening whilst this is closing. It's got a free run, solo female, pop bop. This is how you close it. I really do think this is qualifying now, thanks to this running order. Moving on to the third winner now, and it acts as another perfect segue. We just mentioned them, and I believe that Cyprus are another big winner from this production running order. Most of us predicted it. A lot of us thought that Cyprus would open the semi-final. A lot of us thought that Luxembourg would close it. But it's not a guarantee. They spring surprises on us all the time. But it happened, and Cyprus are opening, and I think this can only be good for them. Statistically, opening semi-final 1 has not been a bad thing for the last few years. You have to go back as far as 2018 to find a song that performed in first place, which didn't qualify with the televote. I know what you're thinking. Ranella Hayati 2022 performed first, didn't make it, but in a televote only vote, Ranella Hayati would have made it as well. I really do feel like the song performing first in semi-final 1 is in a better position than the song that performs first in semi-final 2. People are ready for Eurovision to start. They're like, oh my god, it's the third semi-final, let's get going. And to start it with a party is really the way to get the whole thing going. And I think there's a lot more hype behind performing first in first semi-final than there is performing first in second semi-final. So Celia Capsis has nothing to worry about on that front, so long as she can nail it herself. I feel like performing first is now actually a vote of confidence from the producers. In the last few years, we've seen the likes of Varut, Alessandra, Robin Bengtsson open the semi-finals, all of which absolutely flew through the semi-finals with no problems whatsoever. In fact, in 2019, the opener of semi-final 1 was Cyprus themselves, with Replay by Tamta. We really can't forget Tamta opening that semi-final with a bang. The loudest of bangs. So if it's female pop bots that you're coming to Eurovision for, hi. Just like Queen of Kings last year, I think this is kicking off the party in just the right way, and this is a great position for Cyprus. The fourth winner for me amongst this production's running order is Finland. Now, Finland's entry this year has proven very divisive, and they very easily could have closed this semi-final just as they did last year with Cha Cha Cha. Maybe that was in production's mind not to repeat the same thing 2 years in a row. But regardless, I do think that this positioning still works out well for them. From the moment that Baby Lasagna finishes when he performed in 7th place, we lack a moment of real fun. After Croatia, we have Iceland, which is upbeat, but it's pretty safe, a little bit forgettable, I'd say. Then it's followed by Germany, again, mid-tempo, but pretty safe. Then you have Slovenia, interesting entry, but quite dark. I think at this point, many viewers who are at the middle point of the show will be craving something fun to just get them towards the end. Remember, casuals don't always know these songs, and I think they do respond better to fun entries. So they'll have been waiting for quite a few songs at this point for a fun entry. This is something that the televoters will be returning from the toilet for. It's also then followed by Moldova, another likely non-qualifier with very static staging. This song is the opposite of static. The staging is all over the place. There's so many different elements going on. There's so many talking points. You're not going to forget the guy whose pants are on fire, but you're definitely not going to forget about him when the person coming after is just stood still playing a violin. It's one of the most standout songs, love it or hate it, from semi-final 1, and I think it's being given a position that allows it to emerge from a sea of beige. So close your eyes if you don't want to hear this, but I think this now is in with a definite qualification chance. Sorry, not sorry, because I'm a fan. The final song that I've deemed as a winner from this semi-final really didn't need any help from a running order. That is Croatia. I do believe that this song could qualify wherever it was placed. It could be put in the death slot of second if it wanted, and we know full well that Rimtim Tagidim is making the final. However, I didn't know that for sure a semi-win was definitely sewn up. Obviously, the odds would suggest that it is, but I don't think it's a given at this point. But the producers have definitely given this as much help as they could by giving this the position they have. This was drawn first half, so the latest they could possibly have been given was 7th place, and they've been given 7th place. The producers clearly are wanting to give this as much of a chance as possible to fly through this semi-final and maybe even win the televote. As I just mentioned, they perform in 7th place, then followed by Iceland, which is almost universally agreed one of the least exciting entries of the year. And you've got Germany, again, not really screaming that televote friendly. It's also preceded by Poland, which is a good song, but it's another song that feels a bit mid-tempo, doesn't necessarily feel like the safest of qualifiers, isn't as exciting. It's definitely been surrounded by songs that I don't really feel like exciting is the adjective that you'd use for it. But this is the definition of exciting, and it's been given the platform to shine amongst a lot of other entries that you can't say the same for. If you had Doomsday Blue or Looked Out either side of this, I do think it could have damaged some of the televote, because there's no doubt that they are eye-catching entries, but you've got at least 2 songs before you hear Rimtim Tagidim after Doomsday Blue. I mean, you've got 3 more songs before you get No Rules, so there's plenty of space around this song for Baby Lasagna to shine, and I think it goes a long way to burying the songs around it. I would not want to be performing before or after this song, because it's going to get a lot of attention, and the running order has made sure that it gets even more attention than it could have got in other circumstances. So good for Croatia, this is very good for you. You were qualifying anyway, but hey, this is definitely a vote of confidence from the producers, I'll say that much. So they're the 5 songs that I have deemed to be the winners from the running order of semi-final 1. Now it's time to look at the losers. I will remind you that I've got songs in here that I do think will still qualify. That is not the point of being a loser. What I mean by the losers are just that the running order doesn't necessarily benefit them. I think it maybe hinders them more than it helps them. And I think a perfect example of that is Lithuania, who I'm going to use as the first loser. There is no way in hell that Looked Out isn't making it. This is such a strong song, one of my favourite songs of the year, and I'm definitely not worried about this, but I really don't think that the producers have helped it, for example, in the way that they have Baby Lasagna. And again, a stark reminder, performing as early as 3rd is not a reason that this won't qualify. Plenty have qualified in 3rd before. Let's look at Constractor. She came 3rd in her semi-final after performing in 3rd position with Incorpore Sano. If a song's going to stand out, it will stand out from any position. And I do believe that this can, but the producers could have helped this more. And the reason I say this is because Doomsday Blue is following this, which I believe is another standout moment of the night. Whether it does well or not, it's definitely going to be a talking point. Bambi Thug is a very standout look. The song is a metal song. It's nothing like you've ever heard in your Eurovision before, and there is definitely a potential that more people will be talking about Bambi Thug after their song and their look than they will Sylvester Bell, and it could maybe eat into a bit of Lithuania's vote. Then, straight after Doomsday Blue, you have the first of the Big Five and Sweden who are performing in the semi-finals. This has never happened before, and I do think the introduction of having the Big Five perform in the semi-finals could complicate things a little bit. I mean, for one, I think it's going to confuse the viewers. I think casuals at home won't understand that they can't vote for UK, Sweden or Germany in this semi-final. So unless that's made very clear, then I think that's going to cause confusion in itself. But it does have an opportunity to disrupt the flow and attract some of the attention to the Big Five, because this has never been done before. So it's going to be quite exciting. They're probably going to stop the show, they're probably going to speak to Ollie Alexander for a bit, and the whole thing's going to break down, and then you're going to get the UK. So after Ireland, the show stops, we interview Ollie, and we have Ollie perform. These are a lot of events following Sylvester Bell. These are a lot of distractions that can potentially pull people away from thinking about Sylvester Bell themselves. This is a worry, but there are only 15 songs in the semi-final, and this song is strong enough that I still believe it will fight through those difficulties anyway. Talking of performing early, my second loser of a running order is gonna have to be Serbia, and I think anyone from Serbia will feel this way as well. Again, I will remind you, it is possible to qualify from second place, especially in a 15-song semi. We know Constractor performed third, we know Luke Black performed third. They're used to getting early draws, but as we saw last year, Luke Black only just made it. He made it through in 10th place. It was very close between Luke and Latvia's Southern Lights last year. And Serbia, in my opinion, out of all of the 31 countries that are in the semi-finals, I think have been done the dirtiest. There is one ballad in this whole first half of the semi-final. They had one ballad to play with, and I thought this would at least be 4th or 5th in order to space out some of the up-tempos in this semi-final. Instead, they've decided to throw this into second and give it the hardest possible hurdle to climb. Had they put this in, for example, 5th, where they put Ukraine, I think at that point you may have got over some of the excitement. You'll have had time to calm down from all of the mass excitement of some of the entries that followed it. And I think you'd have been ready for a ballad. You'd have been craving it at that point. But I think in second place, you're not actually craving a ballad yet. You've just got over the excitement of Eurovision starting, and then you're hit with a ballad almost immediately. I don't know that it's what a lot of televoters want so early. I don't think they're craving a ballad yet. I think this song already had a struggle in its corner, because in my opinion, this song is a bit of a grower. I do think it needs maybe 2 or 3 listens, but now you've got a banger of a song kick-starting the semi-final. Then you've got Serbia. Then you've got an incredible performer in Sylvester Bell. Then you've got Bambi Thug. There is a lot surrounding this song which is screaming for your attention. Could the minimalist vibes of this be diluted by all the excitement that surrounds it? There is also a possibility that because there is so much loudness going on around it, that the beauty and the simplicity of Ramonda could shine. That's the only positive I can think of, but I think anyone looking at this will think Serbia now have the odds stacked against them. They still can do it, they've done it before, they could very well do it again. Don't give up, Serbian fans, I don't think this is over for you, this still stands a chance. The third song that I have deemed as a loser from a running order is Moldova. Now, I've had this feeling in my blood that this could actually be a shock qualifier of the year, because we know that Moldova are good at staging, but I think the running order has placed the final nail in this song's coffin.
Already dead.
It is the sandwich filling to some massive staging this year that comes before and after it. You've got Finland with No Rules just before it, with Pants on Fire, with a Fabergé egg, with a near naked man, and then after it you've got Sweden, 2 very votable young boys performing in a Matrix light show. There is so much going on around this song, and if they're gonna bring a similar stage show to what they did in the national final, the staticness of these 5 girls on violins looking like robots is just gonna feel kind of amateur, I feel, in between those two songs. Now, obviously, as I've said before, people can't vote for Sweden, so is it really relevant that Unforgettable comes after it? I still think yes, because whether you can vote for a song or not, having a memorable song come after a certain song does mean that you may forget the one before it. So just because you can't vote for Sweden doesn't mean that it doesn't have the ability to make you forget other songs. So unless they have got something big up their sleeve for staging, and look, Moldova may well do it, they've done it before, they could do it again, I think this could just feel like a toilet moment. This could feel like a moment where you go and get a cup of tea in between the exciting songs, and I really think any chance that this had of fighting through the negatives have now really been given an even bigger obstacle in their way. This is going to be very hard for them now, and I think this almost consolidates Moldova as a non-qualifier in my opinion. Sorry to say that, because I am a bigger fan of this song than quite a lot, but this running order is not the tea for this song. The fourth loser, that is a number 3, that is not a number 4. What is wrong with me?
You're dumb.
Running order loser number 4, that is a 4. 4 is Iceland. Now, I've already mentioned Iceland several times in this video as a reason why I think some songs have benefited, and it would have taken something very special for this song to get out of the semis anyway. But the producers could, if they wanted to, they could have put this last. It is an up-tempo, so if they wanted to, this could have closed. But they haven't. They've put this as early as they possibly can. The earliest this could have performed was 8th, and it will perform in 8th. Not a vote of confidence from the producers, let's put it that way. This puts me in the mind of 2018, Netta's Toy performing in 7th in its semi-final, much like Baby Lasagna's performing 7th in this semi-final. Following Netta, you had Alexiev's Forever. They threw everything at Alexiev's staging for Belarus that year, and it pulled them all the way to 16th. They could throw whatever they wanted it, but Netta was the talking point, and I do believe that Baby Lasagna is the biggest talking point of this semi-final. He's a very likely televote winner. So following that up with this song already had the odds stacked against it from the minute it beat out Basha Murad to actually make it to Eurovision. But I think if Baby Lasagna is going to bring the crazy to the stage, if they just bring the same staging for Iceland, then Hera Björk walking up and down some stairs and giving you a nice slow motion swish.
She's the mother. She is Mother Earth. She is your mother.
It's just not going to be enough. Again, I don't like to use the words amateur too much, but I just think it will pale in comparison, and it's just not a memorable moment. I really don't know if this song could have made it under any circumstances, but after Baby Lasagna, I really think that you have to feel sorry for Hera Björk, and I think the odds have never been more stacked against this song. Let's go now to the final loser from this semi-final, and I actually struggled to find 5 losers because, I mean, it's a 15-song semi-final. There's not that much chance of getting lost. Only 5 songs are not going to make it, so there is more chance of making it than not making it. So I just had to go for the one that I thought, well, the running order could have been kinder to this, and that is Slovenia. And I say that because I made a prediction of where I thought songs would perform, and I really thought this would be maybe 3rd last, 2nd last. I thought this would be one of the closers, in a similar way to how Norway's Ulvaham is the 2nd to last song in the 2nd semi-final. I thought this would be a real dark moment before the final song of semi-final 1. However, they've actually put this in 9th place. They've really shoved this pretty high up the possibilities of where they could have put it. And I think they've kind of done this song a little bit dirty, because I feel like the staging for this could be a moment, and I feel the song is more of a moment than the likes of Azerbaijan and Australia. Having those 2 songs come in the last 4 songs feels like 2 kind of duds for me. So while I don't think this has been entirely screwed over, I would have loved to have seen this perform in the same position that Australia have been given. Australia are in 13th with a song that I think is a little bit sort of damp, not much of a moment, and I think that we could have really done with closing the show with a stronger song like Veronica. As it stands, this comes before No Rules. I've spoken about why I think No Rules is going to stand out, whether you like or love that song for Finland. There is a possibility that that will be a talking point and that it will overshadow a song like Veronica, which is a bit dark, maybe a little bit more subtle maybe its subtlety will be lost when followed by a song that screams at you like No Rules. If this was performing in 13th, I would have had this as a definite qualifier. And now I'm left with question marks. And it's really going to come down to the staging to make sure that Slovenia are going to allow this to stand out, because 9th out of 15 is still not a bad spot, but it's not the best they could have had, in my opinion. So that's it. They are my 5 winners and 5 losers. I'm just going to very briefly go over the other 5 songs that I haven't mentioned. Let's have a look at this running order again. Ireland. Now, I nearly made Ireland one of my 5 winners. I think they could be really happy with this running order, because this is now in a position where it can really stand out. I feel like the 3 songs before it, Laya, Ramunda and Luktelk, they are all fantastic pop songs. I don't feel like they're breaching new ground in Eurovision. Doomsday Blue doesn't remind me of anything I've heard before in Eurovision. I think it really is a very unique entry to Eurovision. And in a sandwich of Sylvester Belt and Ollie Alexander, Bambi Thug is bringing something completely different. Non-binary finery, emo, goth, metal, gore. It's something that we haven't seen in the 3 songs preceding it, and I think this could be a real moment. So I think 4th place, Ireland can be very happy with this. Then we have Ukraine performing in 5th. I really don't think this is either here nor there. This song's making it through anyway. I don't think anything sounds like this. I don't think the running order helps nor hinders it, so good for Ukraine. Poland in 6th. This could be classed as a loser because Teresa and Maria and Rim Tim Taggy Dim are probably what people will think are going to be the top 2 of this semi-final. So performing in the middle of them could be a bad thing. But I kind of think to myself, well, I actually thought this song would be given 2nd place. I actually thought this was going to be given the death slot. So the fact that they have pushed this a bit lower, I think, well, it could make it. But it does have the opportunity of getting lost in between 2 big favourites. Baby Lasagna could drown this out. So I'm caught in the middle of thinking there are pros and there are cons for Luna performing here, but I don't think this is game over for Poland, and I think they could have had much worse positions. So let's just get to the last 2 songs that we haven't spoken about. Azerbaijan in 12th. I don't really have any feelings towards this. I do think that Marcus and Martinez going before them will come across more exciting, but it is a very big change of pace. This could stand out. I'm still not sure how I feel about this song. It's the very last song that I heard, and I think it could get lost, but it is performing towards the end, so I certainly don't think this is a bad thing for Azerbaijan. So this falls somewhere in the middle. Australia, I think they can be very happy with this. Again, I could have very easily put them in the winners category because they've been put very close to the end, and this song has not had a lot of hype. They could have easily been given the slot that, for example, Moldova have. They even could have been given the slot that Iceland have been given in 8th. As it is, this is very close to the end. It could be a very feel-good moment. That's what we get from it. It's meant to be very empowering, very feel-good, and the songs afterwards are maybe like a slower ballad and a female up-tempo. This could be bringing something new to the stage, and I do think this gives Australia a chance to be remembered, because I do think this song is a little bit forgettable, but can you forget the song that's performing 3rd from last? Typically, performing towards the end is a big help, so I think Australia can be happy with this, and I think the producers have thrown them a lifeline. Whew, that was a lot of words. That's me getting all analytical. Usually I'm just restricted to reactions, but I really have been looking into this, getting the statistics going, and that's how I feel. But what do you think? Let me know down below in the comments below. Who are the winners for you from this running order? Who are the losers? Try and put aside your feelings of who you love and just let me know what you think about this running order. Give this video a like if you enjoyed what you saw, and hit that bell if you want notifications every time I upload a video. Obviously I'm going to do one for semi-final 2 as well, and I've got lots more videos coming up all the way through till May. But for now, I've exhausted myself with all of this Eurovision knowledge that may or may well not be absolutely irrelevant. There's 15 songs in this semi-final. How bad can it be? Sending love to all countries from semi-final 1. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and good night.